Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today we're looking at another 35mm SLR. This time it's the Canon AE-1 PROGRAM. This dates from 1981, second from last of the A series. This follows on from the very successful and the original AE-1 with the addition of the word program. That relates to the exposure mode, whereas the AE-1 was a shutter priority camera. This one includes a program mode, and program means that it selects the aperture and the shutter speed in combination to produce a good exposure. Give you a quick overview. I don't know what lens this is that's on here. It's got a lens hood on it, so we'll take that off. 28mm 2.8 lens on this one. Okay, quite a handsome camera. It was available in black as well, and I'd say 1981, so early days of electronics. So on the front here, this one actually got a strap on it, and I don't normally have a strap on the camera. PC sync connection for flash, electronic flash, external. You'll take the lens off. This is an older style lens. This is a breech lock lens. If you turn this metal ring so the red dot is at the top, the lens will just lift straight off. And to reattach the lens, you just line the red dot up at the top and just turn the ring. On the later ones, the whole lens turns. I've got a later lens somewhere here. There's that one there. Yeah, this is the later style lens, which is all-in-one. So the whole thing turns. So again, you see the red dot, you line the red dot up at the top, he says, and turn, and the whole lens turns on these, not just the ring. And this is a, what's this? It's a 51-4. Right, so that's how you mount and dismount a lens on these newer ones. There's a little button down here that you can just turn to take it off. So here we see the throat and the mirror and some gubbins inside. Interesting thing with these is you can actually change the focusing screens. I wouldn't do it with your fingers. You need a pair of tweezers really, but there's a little tab up here so you can change the focusing screen. This is a standard one. It's got the split prism and micro prism in the centre. It's got a bit like a rangefinder in it. Now the batteries on these are quite interesting. They don't go in the bottom. This will take a winder. That's what that little cover there is for a winder. But the battery on these is a 6-volt battery, and it lives. If I can get this catch open, I will struggle with these. You need fingernails really to get into it. There is an accessory grip for these as well. Oh. I can't get into it. Oh, there we go. So as you'll see, the battery is a 6-volt battery, and that sits in the front here. So it's this sort of type of battery. Don't know what its name is, what size it is. I should say somewhere what it is. There you go, 4SR44, 6.2 volts. And that goes into this compartment here, and the plus goes at the top, so just pops in like so, like that. Again, battery doors on these pretty weak, easily damaged. And like I say, there is a screw-on grip extension that can fit on the corner there. Right, let's have a look at the top of the working bits of it. Electronic camera, so you need to be able to turn it on, and that's what this device over here is for. So you've got L, which is for lock, A, which is kind of for automatic, I suppose, it's activated or whatever, that's the on position. And then it also has a self timer, which is down the bottom here, and then you just push this, push the shutter release down, the self timer function. There is a battery check on it as well, which is this one here. Just stick the lens back on. Fujifilm Advance, quite nice. Electronic shutter release, so it's not mechanical, it's electronic. You can see this in here, this one's got the cough. It's an easily sorted out issue, but yeah, it's got the cough alright. Threaded for a cable release, interestingly enough, and we also have a frame counter which does reset when you open the bag. Program selector or shutter speed from 1,000th of a second down to 2 seconds, interestingly, with a B setting. So you can manually select your shutter speed. So I'll put this on a slow one. I hear that cough even more now, I expect. Yeah, doesn't sound too bad actually. Yeah, you can manually choose your shutter speed. You can see there the flash sync speed is a 60th. So I suspect we have a horizontal running shutter. Sounds worse when it's on a higher speed. Okay, and program mode, so it selects both the aperture and the shutter speed for you. Hot shoe, they're dedicated as usual, make you buy their flash guns. Also communicates with the flash gun. Sometimes it sets the shutter speed, but this is a very early camera, and early forms of automation really revolved around shutter priority because the shutters were manual. When with the introduction of electronic shutters, electronically controlled, we got aperture priority, where the camera could choose a shutter speed to match your selected aperture, and then obviously it's program, which is a combination of the two, and that's what this camera adds, is a program function. You can use it as a shutter priority as well. On the lens it has this A position. On the earlier ones it's like a little green circle, so that must be set to that. If you take it off of that, then you're then into manual, and the aperture display inside is the one that you would have to set, whereas if it's on A, it's the one that will be set by the camera. So it does tell you the aperture that you selected. To set the speed, the film speed, the ASA or the ISO as we call it nowadays, that's this dial around here, and you can see this is where the setting is on there, and you push down this little button so that you can adjust it, and then it just swivels round. So this goes from 12 all the way around to 3200. So I think today we're going to set it on 200. A film plane indicator used for macro, so you can measure the distance and do your exposure calculations, although if you're using through the lens you don't really need to for that. Film rewind crank. This is how you'd rewind the film when you finished exposing it. Pull up to open the back. So have a look at the gubbins inside. Large pressure plate, nice and flat and smooth, and the idea is to keep the film flat so that it's in focus all the way across the frame. Bit of a support for the film chamber there. Take up spool, sprocket drive. The film works from left to right. You can see the shutter now is a horizontal cloth shutter, as I suspected. This is where your film is going to go. So on the bottom there's not a lot to see. This is for a winder attachment, not a motor drive, just a winder, a couple of frames a second. This disengages this sprocket so that you can rewind the film. So you push it in. This will then be able to turn backwards. Tripod bush for mounting the camera on a tripod. You can see this one's been on a tripod by the look of it. And some electrical contacts for any winders. There's a screw missing out of there as well. Film reminder at the back. You can put a bit of the packet or a bit of slip of paper in there just to let you know what you've got in the camera. I think these ones do have the exposure compensation button on the side here, so that it can be used in the backlights for backlit situations, contre-jour or whatever they used to call it in the old days. And we also have a stop down function as well. No, this lens isn't stopped down, but yeah, this is a lockable stop down, so you can see the iris and the lens is stopped down on there. I don't think there's anything else that I've missed. I think one of these does power the meter. and that is about all the functions that there are on it. Nice cameras, considering it was the early days of electronics, they seem to be quite reliable. I was one of those photographers who loathed having electronics in cameras. I loved mechanical cameras. You can't beat a good clockwork camera, but the march of electronics, it has been fairly reliable, to be fair. There's an awful lot of these out there that are still going strong. So you put your film in like this. The sticky out bit goes at the bottom. It looks like it goes in upside down. Pull this across. This is called your leader. And you'll see that there's little slots in this spool over here that this slides into. And then you can wind, and you'll see that it draws the film in and across. And then once it's got to the sprockets and the sprocket holes are lined up, that's what moves the film through the camera. What I then do is I like to take up the slack, keep the film fairly tight, close the back up, that can be folded away, wind it on, just fire it off a few times. You'll see how this is turning, so it shows me that the film has advanced through the camera. And I always wind on 3 times. And the frame counter on this one isn't working, so there's a problem with this one. But I don't really ever use the frame counter. And the other thing that I think I noticed with this one is I don't think that the self timer was working either. So let's try that. Put that down to self timer. Oh yeah, it is. See the beeping. There we go. So self timer does work. It's just the frame counter that seems to be a bit of a problem with that one. Nice cameras. Very, very popular back in the day. I'm not sure which was the most popular, whether it was the AE-1 or the AE-1 PROGRAM. This one's probably a tad easier to use because it gives you the option of the program mode as well as being shutter priority. And just set that back on A. But yeah, plenty of lenses. The FD lenses are quite nice, very nice in fact, and they're relatively affordable compared to some of the lenses that do demand strong money. But yeah, I highly recommend the Canon FD as a starter system, or even as a full-time sort of system. Really, they're very good. As you can see, it's still working, still reliable, apart from the squeak, but that's quite easy to sort out with a little drop of oil on the end of a syringe. Yeah, highly recommended. Comments, questions, queries, etc. down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks to all the new subscribers, and yeah, please like, share, all the usual good YouTubey sort of stuff, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.